Hi there and welcome back. This next video I'm going to be working on is going to deal with decorating the arbor behind me, right back here. I put that in around last November. We got it in just as we were going to put up our Christmas decorations. It looked really, really nice for Christmas. We had lights hanging from it all over the top. It was really something nice to decorate and really added to the whole backyard. But now it's March. I want to get this backyard going and get some color back here. So I want to decorate that arbor for spring and for the summer. As you can see the full shot of it here, I've got some pots down on the ground. I've got bulbs in most of those. I've also got some roses in other pots. What I'd like to do is get a hard surface down there. But before I get into that, which I'm probably going to start tomorrow, I wanted to get some hanging plants here. And what I've got back here, I've got about 6 of these. I buy the new insert for every year. We usually just put ferns and stuff. And once I get these plants transplanted into the planters I have and hanging by chains, they're going to look really great, and also they're going to add a lot of color to that part of the yard. So I got busy transplanting the flowers from the containers they came in from the store to the hanging baskets. This was pretty quick work. I like to set up a temporary bench to do this type of work. It only takes a few minutes to set up and take down, but working in a comfortable position makes things go a lot easier. I started this video on March 14th. It took me a couple of weeks to finish the whole project and another couple of weeks to get the editing complete and publish the video. You can see the trees are still bare of leaves and the tulips that are growing in the pots prior to their blooms. By the time I finish the whole project, you'll see the tulips in full bloom. I got the baskets hung from the arbor. I'm happy with the way they turned out. I used some large looped chains I made to hang the baskets. I set them at different heights to add some style to the look. I was motivated to do the hardscaping under the arbor by 2 different situations. One, I found this picture and wanted to create something that approached how nice this looked. And 2, I had some water drainage issues around the arbor and the rock fountain beside it. Right where the arbor post is, there is a low spot where the water pools up. And the area surrounding the rock fountain is a bit lower than the surrounding area and doesn't drain properly, creating a muddy mess. Even in the summer when the grass is greened up and growing strong, this area is a problem. Now, on to the hardscaping. I knew I wanted to use chipped slate for the hardscape surface, but I didn't have a complete plan for the area I was going to hardscape. So on day 2, armed with a shovel and an idea, I got started with the excavation. This project started with a plan to make a short video on decorating the arbor with some plants and hanging baskets. This is what happens sometimes though. One thing leads to another and I get into a scope creep situation. But since it was all focused on the arbor and surrounding area, I decided to combine the decorating and the hardscaping into one project. I've used this pragmatic approach on other projects. Start with the work and the plan will come together. Worst case is I dig too much and I have to add back dirt to remediate my mistakes. I dug out the area surrounding the arbor posts. I dug this so the slope ran away from the patio. I continued to dig around the rock fountain in a horseshoe pattern. I finished this initial excavation and called it a day. I finished the initial excavation on Saturday, March 14th. That night, we had one of the biggest rainstorms we've had in a while. The next morning, I found the excavated area filled with water. Well, that dictated my next steps. I had to dig a drainage trench to the existing dry river to relieve all that water before I could do anything else. I wasn't sure whether the permanent solution would be a French drain or an open river. However, I needed the trench either way, and I had to drain the pond I created before I could get any other work done. So I cut the channel from the excavated area to the dry river on that side of the yard. It took about an hour, so it wasn't that bad. I left a small dam of earth between the channel and the water. When I completed the channel, I broke the dam and the water emptied out completely. I was pleased that I had the slope correct. The water buildup was a good test for the drainage of the area. After the water drained, I had to wait a few days for the area to dry out before I could continue work. Here's what the excavated area looked like after a few days of drying out. The area around the fountain led nicely to the arbor area and flowed smoothly into the drainage channel. I decided to expand the hardscape area a bit towards the deck stairs. More scope creep, I know, but remember, this is the pragmatic approach. I design as I go. So I picked and shoveled back towards the deck stairs to grow the footprint of the hardscape area. This added some work, but not enough to discourage me from doing it. I think it also looked a lot nicer and would accommodate more pots and containers when complete. The next step is to spread the crush and run. The crush and run base material is spread and compacted prior to adding sand and pavers for patios. I use a base material for gravel hardscape as well. It provides a solid base for the gravel to set on and helps keep it firm and level. The area required a whole ton. I can only carry a half ton in my truck, so I had to make 2 trips to the landscape supply. Next, I decided to go with the open river for the drainage. It matches the existing river, so it would look good where the two join. Also, my neighbor had some river rocks left over from a project she did last year, so I had a free supply of river rock for the project. River rock is pretty easy to lay out. I first put a layer of weed barrier fabric. The fabric works well. However, weeds still grow in the river because the seeds fall into the river and grow that way. Filling the middle of the river with rock is quick and easy. Placing the rock on the sides of the river takes some patience to get the rocks to fit and hold together, but it's still not that difficult. Well, I forgot to hit the record button on the camera while I was setting the border blocks and filling in the chip slate. I do have another video where I made a chip slate walk path. If you want to look back a few videos on my channel, you can see that process. My next steps are to clean up the fountain area. I've had this fountain for 6 years. In that time, the rocks surrounding the fountain have worked into the soil and they're all pretty much covered in dried mud. I'm removing all the rocks and cleaning them off. Also, the pump for the fountain is no longer working. I need to install a new one. It's going to be a bit of a chore to lift the rock high enough so I can remove the pump and install a new one. But that's for a different video. I got all the rocks removed and then I shoveled them into a wheelbarrow and hosed them off before staging them in the corner of my patio. I will keep the stones in that corner until I'm ready to replace them around the fountain. Here are some pictures of the project completed. I'm very happy with the outcome. Some of the pictures are from the tulip bloom and some a week or so later after the bloom was over and the containers repurposed for other plants. So sometimes you don't need a well thought out detailed plan to improve an area in your garden. Sometimes just being armed with a shovel and an idea will get you started and then design as you go. If the scope expands, then go with it. It may take more time than you first thought, but it'll be worth it in the end. This is your garden. Make it the way you want. If the first try isn't quite what you wanted, try again. Well, if you made it all the way to the end of this video, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like and drop your thoughts in a comment. Maybe even consider subscribing. Thanks again, and see you on the next video.